Accepting Dr. Barlow's award tonight are his daughters, Sharon Barlow Daly of Ventura, California, who's here with her sisters, Miriam Barlow Rouge and Lois Barlow Merritt.
Thank you, Dr. Conway, Medical Missions Hall of Fame Committee. Ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed an honor for us and for our family to be here tonight. Also, I'd like to recognize my husband, Jim Daly, who is the president of the Mossy Foot Project, and also our son, Kevin. Would you please stand? Tonight, I'd like to introduce you to the man, Nathan Barlow, to tell you a little bit about him and who he was as a person. I remember standing by the banks of a tropical river, overgrown with vines, with baboons chattering at us on the other side of the river. My dad picked up a rock that was nice and flat, just the right one, and he skipped it across the water, leaving ripples in the water. As I look back on that day, it reminds me of my father's life. There are ripples on the waters that he left. He passed away in 2004, but the work that he started continues. There are many medical workers in Ethiopia that were trained by him, and also their children and grandchildren. He was a firm believer in training nationals wherever he went, and he had a lot of respect for them and confidence in them. My parents went out with us in the end of 1945. They were in Ethiopia until 1977 when the communist government took over and took the hospitals. At that time, they left. They went to Central African Republic, then to Niger, and then to Zaire. While they were in the Central African Republic, my father came down with a hernia. Being a very practical man, he thought about going out to Nairobi by private plane. That would cost about $1,000. It would take him away from his work for about a month, so he decided that wasn't a good idea. Instead, he had my mother give him some anesthetic. He climbed up on the operating table. He had mirrors positioned in just the right way so he could see the surgery. And he had one of his medical students who had a 5th or 6th grade education but was brilliant and well-trained by my father do the surgery. And after the surgery, he decided that there were 7 ways that they could improve the hernia operation. They were back here in the States visiting us. He decided that it really would be a great inconvenience if he had to have any dental work done. So he talked to several of his friends, my Uncle Russell and other people that had had dental extractions and gotten false teeth. All of them had very successful experiences with it. So he decided he would do the same thing, just in case. So he had all of his upper teeth removed. However, he wasn't as fortunate. He had a heck of a time adjusting to the dentures. He went through a lot of pain with that. So that turned out not to be such a good idea, but he was very focused on his work and dedicated to the work. He really had a lot of confidence in his workers. In fact, in Ethiopia, when he was at the Dila hospital, they were so overworked, and it was at a time when the communist regime had taken over before they took the medical hospitals. He had trained a pharmacist who came there to work with him and some of the nurses. He would start the surgery, and he was so exhausted that by the end of the surgery, he would let them finish it up, and he would sleep under the operating table until the next surgery started. My father met his uncle, as was told in the video, when he was 5 years old, who was a missionary doctor in China, Dr. Claude Barlow. It was from that time on that he wanted to be a missionary doctor. He came to know the Lord Jesus at a very young age, he had a very deep faith, and so did my mother. And so through the years, I think that's what carried them through and helped them to serve through the difficulties, through the hard times. And yet, they also were very happy with what they did. My father loved his work. He had a very exciting life. He got to do what he loved to do so much. And then in 2004, we got a phone call. My father was very ill. He was not expected to live. So in April, Jim said, I think we should go out to Ethiopia to visit Dad. So we went out there. Dad was in bed. I always thought he would just die with his boots on. But no, he suffered to the end of his life, at the end of his life. He had terrible cratered-like ulcers on his feet. He had surgery done to put some skin grafting on them, hopefully so he could come back here to see the family, but wasn't able to do it at that time. I remember the day that he had skin grafting done with nothing more than a strong Tylenol for him post-operative recovery. And he was laying there, he said, I just wish everybody could have shoes. And today we know that with the non-filarial elephantiasis, with mossy foot disease, that it's the volcanic soil and the glass in it that penetrates through the pores that causes this awful suffering. So if the people were well enough financially to afford shoes, that would prevent the disease. So my father's dying wish was, I wish everybody could have shoes. And today, starting in 2005, we supplied shoes at the first clinic on a trial basis. Today, the shoe program is expanding along with the treatment and vocational training. So the ripples of what Dr. Barlow started continue to influence other people today, and we thank God for that. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.